All right, I got my notes. So officially, here we go. I got my notes. So the first thing we're gonna do is we're gonna cover what I was already talking about with this one here, and that is the fact that the national championship is upon us for the Division 1A, formerly known as Division 1A, or the College Football Playoff, where they do the FBS, basically bowl scheduling, and we have the final two teams that are making it, and it is University of Indiana versus the Miami Hurricanes, Indiana Hoosiers versus Miami Hurricanes, a battle of the number one team that is currently only an undefeated team versus the team that nobody thought that would be here. And I am so excited for this. Y'all already know. I'm not even going to play my theme song. I've already played it like 4 or 5 times on different streams. So the game takes place here in Miami, right down the street from where I live. So I don't know if I'm gonna be able to get tickets. My mom called me the other day and talking about she wanted to go to the game, and I didn't think she was gonna get the tickets, and then she realized how much them tickets cost, and I said, yeah, because inflation is not a joke. So they've gone up on prices on these tickets, and yeah, it's basically it's gonna be a crazy event. I know for a fact that I'm just gonna give some insight before we start talking about the teams. When it comes to stuff like this, where they have the game here, regardless if it's a Super Bowl or special events, it gets really, really busy around this area. It's very hard to navigate, especially when you talk about before the game and definitely after the game. I can tell you how many times I've came home from an Orange Bowl game. One year we did not go to the Orange Bowl, and that was last year because the Orange Bowl actually took place after New Year's, and I barely avoided the Penn State and Notre Dame crowd. Like they would on the streets, like not saying a wall around, but like just amount of traffic that takes place. In fact, it's been so bad that one year I remember the Cowboys, Orange Bowl Cowboys game, and another big team that played at the Orange Bowl at the stadium would drive their traffic through the neighborhood. It was, and I have clear-cut video showing like me just going outside, looking down the street, and just seeing all the cars that blocking the driveway. That's not even the driveway, just the street that I'm on. So that's how busy it gets here. So if you're going to the game, please respect the neighborhoods. Don't be driving through the neighborhoods like that. Just and if you park in somebody's neighborhood, because I know some neighbors, they'll try to make money for parking, and I don't blame them. But just make sure that you get in and get out and don't impede the traffic so much that people who may have an emergency or may have a need to go out, don't be all in our neighborhoods like that, because it is really, really annoying. So anyway, moving back to what I was talking about. This game is taking place January 19th on MLK Day. We're looking at strength on strength matchup. Miami riding Carson Beck's late season surge and elite pass rush, while undefeated Indiana is looking at a complete juggernaut with a dominant defense and a Heisman QB, Fernando Mendoza. What's really interesting about this, there's a few interesting facts about this game. This is the first game in 23 years that Miami's playing for a national title. It's also a home game for Miami Hurricanes, even though they are the away team officially because they are the lower ranked seed. This is a home game for Miami, and they're going to show up and show out. Don't think that Miami are y'all. I know people said Miami is fair weather fans, but I'm gonna let y'all know when it comes to football and the teams are doing well, Miami will show up and show out. Don't let it sleep on you, because as big as look, I'm pretty sure Indiana is the larger university, but they got it. I've been to Indiana University. That small town ain't that big, and them fans is not gonna be covering that entire stadium. That's for sure. The city was buzzing when they won that Fiesta Bowl game, so don't think that they ain't gonna show up for that team. Some other notable facts. This is gonna be the first time Indiana plays for their first national title. This is Miami's sixth chance to win a sixth national title in, I think, 8 tries. I want to say, give or take. I'm sure it's 8 tries or 9. I'm not really sure. But yeah. It's going to be fun. It's going to be a warm game. It's going to be a relatively warm, coolish game. It's been actually 80 degrees down here, but it's dropped down to 60, so you're dealing with that type of weather. So there's a bit of overviews for both teams. Miami reached the title game behind Carson Beck's clutch Fiesta Bowl performance. Iconic 75-yard, 15-play game-winning drive. The defense has been key, lead by Akeem Messidor and Ruben Bain Jr., who are the front, produced 12 sacks in the first 2 playoff games, but largely neutralized by the quick passing plan of Ole Miss. But those guys are definitely going to be first-round picks in the NFL draft. It'll just know that. So Miami's key path to winning for this game, they must clean up the self-inflicted issues, penalties, missed interceptions, off-target deep shots, and a shaky kicking game that produced 4 missed field goals this postseason. So Miami's got to clean that up for the game. Basically, what they just need to do is just do what they did with Ohio State. Just play a good, solid game, play the defense, run the ball, don't give up some sloppy mistakes, don't give up the big plays, don't give up interceptions. If you could do that against Indiana and push your front seven versus their front seven, because it's going to be at what it comes down to is basically who line is better, whose offensive defensive line is better, and they both have phenomenal lines. But yeah, so if the Hurricanes can pair their run game and Beck's third down efficiency with a more disciplined, fundamentally sound performance, they have the talent to push Indiana to the brink. And mind you, Indiana is a 7.5 favorite against the Hurricanes for this game. As far as Indiana goes, they are a juggernaut. They blew out Alabama and Oregon in the playoffs with a 35-7 halftime lead versus Oregon, with a pick fueled by a pick 6 in the game's first snap and complete control of the line of scrimmage. Heisman winner Mendoza, the quarterback, has 8 touchdowns and only 5 incompletions over 2 playoff games, while the Hoosiers have scored over 94 points and 770 yards. So Indiana's X factor and edge is the defensive front that's going to suffocate the elite offenses, holding Ohio State, Alabama, and Oregon to 174 combined rushing yards and just 2.5 yards per carry, while forcing the star QB in their worst games of the year. Now, the Hoosiers have outscored opponents 473 points by the season, tying 2019 Clemson for the largest points differential entering the title game in the playoff era, which is why they are the better favorites over Miami. So the key factor is, can Carson Beck play mistake-free and just make sure that his team stays on point in that defense and keep Indiana's defense on the field with the drives versus what Mendoza can do with dishing out the offense, because they both have good running game. They both have great lines. They both have good defenses. That's just going to be the factor, is can Carson Beck outplay Mendoza? Some other additional facts is Mendoza is actually from Miami. He played in Miami Central, not Miami Central. I forgot what school he played at, but he is a hometown boy, so he's coming home to play. And also, another interesting information about this game is Indiana does not have any 5-star recruits, which is crazy. Like, all their stuff is, I think they have like 7 4-star recruits, but overall they don't have any 5 stars compared to Miami's got like 200 or something. I don't remember what the number is, but way more than what Indiana goes. But it is on Monday night, January 17th. January 19th, 7:30 p.m. Eastern time. Make sure you check the local listings on ESPN. All right. So we're going to move on to the NFL news. And just want to show that link real quick for the playoff brackets, what we got for going on for today. One game is already being played. It's in halftime between the Bills and Jaguars. There are some other games that have been played yesterday. As you can see, the Rams have already played the Panthers. The Bears already played the Packers. Today's games, you got going to have the Bills and Jaguars, followed by the Eagles 49ers, and then the Patriots and the Chargers are going to finish out the Sunday games for the wild card. And then the Monday night game is going to be the Texans and Steelers on 8:15. So speaking of those games that happened last night, the Bears erased 18-point deficit going to the fourth quarter. Let me go and click this game real quick. So the Bears erased the 18 deficit going to the fourth quarter to beat the Packers 31-27 in the wild card matchup at Soldier Field. Green Bay led 21-3 at halftime behind 4 touchdown passes from Jordan Love, including, of course, scores to Christian Watson, Jaden Reed, Romeo Doubs, and Matthew Golden. Chicago trailed for 21-6 after the first 3 quarters and still 27-16 midway through the fourth quarter before mounting a late surge. So Santos was hit field goals from 34 and 50 yards away to chip away, and then DeAndre Swift added a 6-yard rushing touchdown to pull in one score. Caleb Williams engineered 2 late touchdown drives, an 8-yard touchdown with 2-point pass to Loveland, and then a 25-yard go-ahead strike to DJ Moore with 1.43 with 1 minute and 43 seconds left on the time. So Williams threw for 360 yards with 2 touchdowns, 2 interceptions, while Moore and Loveland headlined the Bears receiving corps, with Loveland posting 137 yards and 8 catches. Love finished 24 for 46 with 323 yards, 4 touchdowns, while Dubs leading the Packers receiving 124 yards and a score. But Green Bay's offense did stall in the second half. So you know what? Chicago outgained Green Bay 445, 421, had 24 first downs to Packers 21, and dominated the time possession from 32 to 27. The moves the Bears to 11-6 in divisional round, and they ends the Packers season at 9-7-1 in brutal fashion after a late failed Hail Mary. So congratulations to the Bears. I know Lumaine had some hate to say to Caleb Williams, and the internet roasted him. So. But the other game, the early game, was the Rams and the Panthers. The Rams beat the Panthers 34-31 in a wild NFC wildcard game decided by a late Matthew Stafford touchdown pass to Parkinson with 38 seconds left in turn. So the Rams jumped out to a 14-0 lead behind Puka receiving touchdown and rushing touchdown. But Carolina cut the lead down 17-14 by halftime. With scores from Hubbard and 16-yard run from Young scrambling. Carolina briefly took control of the third quarter with field goals in early fourth quarter and Hubbard touchdown to go up 24-21 before Williams' touchdown reception put Los Angeles back up front 27-24. Block punt set up Jalen Coker for the go-ahead touchdown for Carolina with 2 minutes and 39 seconds left, but Stafford led a 70-yard drive capped from Parkinson's 19-yard touchdown to seal the Rams win 34-31. So they're going to be moving forward. As you can see on this bracket here, we're just going to wait on see which seeds are going to be the lower seed, because whoever comes out of this and the lower seed is going to be playing the Seahawks. So we're waiting on that. So congratulations to the Pack. Congratulations again. I'm sorry because I got lost on this. Congratulations to the Rams beating the Panthers, man. That was crazy. I was really worried about the Rams because they are technically my pick to go all the way. So I don't know, man. I just need to see better from the defense, and the Cool's gotta catch better. Them receivers gotta do a better job catching those balls, hang on to those balls. That's all I gotta say about that. I've already talked about some of the games that are happening today. So the Buffalo Bills playing Jacksonville Jaguars right now. San Francisco 49ers are visiting. They're going to be at the Philadelphia Eagles at 4:30 Eastern time. And then the Chargers are going to finish out the games today against the Patriots, 8 p.m. NBC. Make sure you check your local listings. That is all I have for that. And also the Monday night matchup, Houston, Texas visiting the Pittsburgh Steelers at the Steelers Stadium at 8:15 p.m. I think Eastern time. All right, so I do want to mention for that last bit of details about that game. The listing betting for that game is Houston is favored by 3 points with an over under of 3.5. So if you're the type of person that likes to gamble on what stats, what you're gonna put on the games, there you go. That's all I got for that one. So give me a sec. All right. All right, so I'm done with that. Let's go ahead and go on to. Oh, I'm sorry, I got some more stuff. The NFL. We got to talk about this all pro selections, because that just happened. I just remember that. I'm sorry, y'all. Not this man come in here and cash in his points and then try to do this. See, you just threw me off, sir. You always do this when I'm trying to record. Anyway. Oh, jeez. I think I can find it here. There we go. Wait. All right, so we got the early in the week they did mention early in last week, or was it yesterday? Yeah, it was yesterday. So they finally do the all pro team selections, and we have the list here. So let's go ahead and go down to the list. For your first team, your offensive quarterback is Matthew Stafford. For running back is Bijan Robinson. Your fullback is I'm just gonna say Kyle from San Francisco. Wide receivers is Nakua from Rams. JSN from Seattle, and Jamar Chase from Cincinnati. Your all-purpose back is Christian McCaffrey from San Francisco. Your tight end is Trey McBride from Arizona. Left tackle is Gary Bowles. Left guard is Joe Thurney. Your center is Cree Humphrey. Right guard is Quinn from Denver, and your right tackle is Sewell from Detroit. For your all first team, all defense, your edge rushers is Myles Garrett, which is no surprise there. Will Anderson Jr. from Houston, Michael Parsons from Green Bay. Your interior linemen are Jeffrey Simmons from Tennessee and Zach Allen from Denver. Your linebackers, you got Jack Campbell from Detroit, Jordan Brooks from Miami. Your cornerbacks are Derek Stingley Jr. from Houston and Quentin Mitchell from Philadelphia. Your slot corner is Cooper DeJean from Philadelphia, and then your safeties are Kyle Hamilton from Baltimore and Kevin Bryant from Chicago. So for your special teams, you got Will from Minnesota. Punter is Jordan from Baltimore. Your kick returner is Ray Davis from Buffalo. Punt returner is this guy from Tennessee. Special teams is Devon Key, and your long snapper is Ross from Jacksonville. So thus, for those who don't know, the All Pro teams are voted. It's similar to the All NBA teams in basketball. They're voted on by the Associated Press, basically reporters, and it's basically it's a real hard accomplishment to get because you are voted on by not by your peers. I think the guys are going to talk about this later on and Numbers Over Nonsense. If they don't, I probably will remind them. But basically what it is like you get selection. It's not a Pro Bowl selection. That's completely different. But the All Pro is kind of considered more valuable towards a person's career than the Pro Bowl. And mainly due to the fact that with the Pro Bowl, people can be exempt. People can be replaced. It's more of like a fan vote. It's sort of quasi fan voting also. Whereas this is more voted by the reporting press. I know for a fact the guys mentioned that they didn't like the fact that reporters are doing this because they do the same thing for the NBA, and I think all the professional leagues do this when it comes to the All Pros, All NBA, and All MLB, and all those positions. But I personally think they just need to add former players. I think what they need to do is former players, either current players, coaches, former players, and then maybe 1 or 2, 3 positions in the press. I know it's 100 people total, so just to give more validity to the All Pro. Because even though I know they question like the press doing it, I can see players taking shots at other players too, and that's just being honest truth. All right, for your second team, we got Drake May for New England, making your quarterback. For running back, you got James Cook from Buffalo. Fullback, you got Patrick Ricard from Buffalo. Wide receivers, you're George Pickens from Dallas. Amon-Ra St. Brown from Detroit, and Chris Olave from New Orleans. All-purpose back is Bijan Robinson from Atlanta. Tight end is Kyle Pitts from Atlanta as well. Shout out to those two. Left tackle is Trent Williams from San Francisco. Left guard is Quentin Nelson from Indianapolis. Center is Aaron Brewer from Miami. Hey, we got one person from the Dolphins team. Chris Lindstrom from Atlanta and Darnell Wright from Chicago. And for your for your second team defense, Brian Burns from New York Giants. Daniel Hunter from Houston, Adrian Hutchinson from Detroit, interior lineman Leonard Williams from Seattle, Cameron Hayward from Pittsburgh. Your linebackers, Devin Lloyd from Jacksonville, Ernest Jones is fourth from Seattle. Your cornerbacks, Patrick Surtain from Denver, Devin Witherspoon from Seattle. Slot corners, Derwin James from the Chargers, and your safeties are Jesse Bates from Atlanta. I did pronounce this guy's name, but I can't pronounce it today, from Denver, and Xavier McKinley from Green Bay. Your special teams, Brandon Aubrey from Dallas, Michael Dickerson from Seattle, Keontae Turpin from Dallas, Marcus Jones from New England, Deshaun Phillips from Chargers, and long snapper. Rounding out the second team is Andrew DePola from Minnesota. So there was one player that tied for the spot. Okay, so these two players basically tied for safeties. Oh, that's interesting. I didn't know that was possible. Okay, well, congratulations to everybody that made the All-Pro team, especially Matthew Stafford, because I found this one kind of interesting. Although he's definitely MVP candidate this season. At the time when Stafford was traded to the Rams for Jeff Goff, I forgot his name, first name, Goff, and he won the Super Bowl with the Rams. I remember a former player going on about him not being a Hall of Famer because he didn't have any Pro Bowl selections. He didn't have any All Pro selections. I think this kind of solidifies his reason for being in the Hall of Fame now, because now he has the Pro Bowl selections. He has the Super Bowl ring. He has the All Pro selection as well. First team at that at his advanced age. So I think we need to cut him a little slack and just understand that Matthew Stafford is a unique player that made the team. So anyway, some other news that I've that's going to be shown on screen that I'm going to discuss real quick is former Falcons quarterback Matt Ryan has been hired as the Atlanta Falcons new president of football operations. They created a newly created front office role, which is going to lead searches and next head coach and general manager, and will oversee the football operations. So basically, he's going to be working under Arthur Blank when it comes to hiring a new GM and head coach. If you don't know about Matt Ryan, he used to play. He was drafted by the Falcons. Played for the Falcons. Had that one season when they went to the Super Bowl and squandered a 28-3 lead. But he had a solid career as a quarterback, and now they brought him right back. So congratulations to him. Also, in other news, Dolphins have agreed to a deal with Packers executive John Eric Sullivan to become the new general manager, and his first major task is being hired a head coach after Mike McDaniels, who need to be fired following his 7-10 season. He has been previously with he's been the vice president of player personnel. Has agreed to terms to take over Miami. He's praised the owners praised Sullivan's vision and experience after winning organization in Green Bay, which has made the playoffs in 6 in the past 7 seasons. He's been with the Packers since 2003, rising from scouting intern to VP of player personnel in 2022, closely working with GM Brian, with the GM of that team. He comes from a football family as the son of longtime coach Jerry Sullivan, who once served as the Dolphins wide receivers coach. This is kind of interesting because they got a lot of decisions to make and not just the coach. They got to figure out about what they're going to do with Tua's contract. Where they're going to move from him or they're going to keep him. I really, really, really hope they move from Tua because he's been a dumpster fire this past season. And I'm not even talking about his quarterback play. I'm talking about all his nonsense he's been saying in front of the cameras as well. But the thing with this is also interesting is the fact that Stephen Ross has been working with Troy Aikman as a consultant and advisor towards helping him finding that GM and help him find that head coach. And I think he's still going to be working towards as advisory role to help with Sullivan getting a new head coach for the Dolphins. So we'll see what happens and what's going to move forward with them. But I think that's pretty much it as far as news with the NFL and the Dolphins. But I just want to mention that real quick because I know that was not going to be mentioned on the Numbers Over Nonsense podcast, but I'll mention in my channel as well. All right, so moving on to NBA news. So looks like we got some people who get in trouble today. To close out some of these stuff right here because my stuff is lining up. All right, so Dennis Schroeder, he just got suspended 3 games for confronting and attempting to strike Luka Doncic after the Kings lost to the Lakers on December 28th. So let's look at what happened. So basically, they've been trash talking throughout the game, including a moment where Luka taunted Schroeder about turning down a 4-year, $82 million extension from the Lakers years ago. After the game, Schroeder left the Kings locker room, saw Luka in the tunnel and the home bench, and started arguing, reuniting roughly 40 minutes after the final buzzer. So he went to the tunnel. He said he could not call. What? He went at Luka in the tunnel, saying he could not call him a bitch. I guess a bitch on court. And then act normal off of it. And then the league determined he was attempted to strike Luka. So Lakers center DeAndre Ayton pulled Schroeder away as security stepped in, and Schroeder was escorted to the team bus while Luka and his father left the arena separately. So he got 3 games, which including an upcoming Lakers Kings rematch on Sacramento on Monday night. Bruh, that is crazy. That's funny. That's funny. Hey, listen, just keep it on the court. That's all I can say about that. Some more interesting stories. Jaylen Brown rips officiating after the loss to the Spurs. So He blasts. Basically, it's a classic story of a player get mad, calls didn't go his way, so he's gonna blast the refs. He said that the officials, led by crew chief Curtis Blair, got away with a lot and called the performance terrible, repeatedly labeling the officiation bull after he accepted any fine. He said he was willing to accept any fine. He was especially angry at Boston's shots, only 4 free throws, while San Antonio went 14 for 20 and personally attempted 0 free throws despite attacking the rim and embracing the contact. Brown suggested this happens every time the Celtics play a good team, hinting at conspiracy, emphasizing the touch fouls that were called for Spurs, while Boston physically drew nothing. So Boston fell to the Spurs 195 in San Antonio, dropping to 24-14, while the Spurs improved to 27-11. Brown had 27 points, 8 rebounds, 7 assists, but shot for 11 for 28, committed 5 of the Boston 10's turnovers, and went from 1-9 in the fourth quarter. Crunch time, he missed a wide open 3 with Boston down 95-93, and then had a ball stolen by De'Aaron Fox, leading to a Julian layup that pushed the Spurs lead to 2 possessions in the final minute. Yeesh, that sucks. Yeah, he's gonna get fined. He's gonna get fined. I'm not gonna touch this one. He's gonna get fined. Anytime you throw the word conspiracy around, you're gonna get fined. That's just you. That's just something you can't do in NBA. In today's NBA, they're not gonna play that, especially when you're talking about conspiracy, collusions, anything involving dirty refs. The NBA is not about to have it, and they're gonna come down on him. So I hope he's got his checkbook ready. Looks like Wembanyama will still come off the bench as he ramped up from his knee issues, scored 21 points and 6 rebounds and 3 shots. I hope he's feeling okay, man, because that was something we was worried about with Victor Wembanyama. But yeah, it's just, I just hope he's okay, because I know he's been coming off the bench, and like I think we mentioned on the podcast, like he would be in the MVP conversation if not for the injuries. And we did not put him in the top 10 because he was coming off that blood clot situation last year. The thing is, like, I see the potential in him, but the problem is his health. Can he sustain for the 72 game season and remain healthy while doing it? Because when he's on the court, he's a freak of nature. Like, it's hard to stop a guy with his size, with his athletic ability, who has a passion to play to the basket and does not care about contact. At the same time, it's just like, man, we need you to be healthy. But when it comes to Jaylen Brown, he's going to get fined for that because it's crazy. In other news, NBA news that we're probably not going to mention on podcast, Anthony, we did mention about this, but we're going to go in a bit further. So Anthony Davis of the Dallas Mavericks has a legitimate damage in his left hand and could miss several months if surgery is required, putting a major pause on trade talks involving him. If he avoids surgery, he'll still expect to miss at least 6 ways. Injured his hand defending one of the players from the while defending in a late drive in a road loss to Utah Jazz. He's seeking the second opinions to decide whether surgery is necessary. So the path is he's going to be sidelined for a minimum of 6 weeks. Surgery will put him out for 7 months and will take him off the trade markets as of February 5th. Dallas has been actively exploring trades for the 30-year-old, but teams are wary due to his durability history and his plans to seek a big extension. Look, retire. Just retire. I'm sorry. This is my personal opinion. This has nothing to do with Rock Boy's rebound. You are the type of player that you get a hangnail, you fall apart. You get a scratch, you fall apart. You trip over your shoes, you fall apart. You're not that dude anymore. I know that you're young. You're still relatively young, but your body is breaking down. You can't handle the pain. It's time for you to go. I don't know who wants to pay for him, because I sure won't pay for him. And you better not try to trade him. Even if he manages to avoid surgery, I do not want to see this man with the Miami Heat. Let's go. I'm calling right now. The Miami Heat trade for him, I'm done with the Heat for the year. Because that would be the second dumbest trade ever made, outside of that dumb trade they made for homeboy with the issue with the gambling situation. That's by far the number one dumbest trade they made so far. Anyway, moving right along. So we got to go into about the Ja Morant Grizzlies situation. So the Grizzlies are listening to trade offers for Ja Morant for the first time while valuing draft picks and young players for any potential this season. So Morant is 26. He's under contract through 27-28. Can sign for a 3-year, $178 million extension this summer. He's averaging 19 points and 7.6 assists per on career low efficiency, 40%. I think it's 40% from the field goal, 20.8 from the three. He's only played 18 games this season due to injuries and didn't have that one game suspension last year, early in the season. So his contract is going through 2028. We already mentioned that. So right now, the way the team is set up, Memphis is 10-9 without Morant. They're 6-12 with him this season after two prior seasons limited by suspensions and injuries. They do have a young core they're working with right now. And I think with the Desmond Bane trade, Memphis holds 9 first rounds and 6 second rounds picks plus 2 first of each next 7 drafts, giving them significant flexibility. Rumor has it that Miami looks like the front runner for getting Ja Morant. Although I think for your bang for your buck, the best available trade for him would definitely be going to Toronto. Would I want to see Ja Morant in Miami? If he's healthy enough to do something, sure. As long as he doesn't mess with the team dynamic. The problem is how much is it going to mess up the team dynamic and flow? Because from what I saw in the reports, like Tyler Hero is something they're going to offer. I'm not really sure if I'm crazy about giving up Tyler Hero unless he just fell off a cliff. Because you're trading one player that just came off an injury for another player that stays on the injury report. He's not the most efficient player now. He's been relying on his athletic abilities. He hasn't really developed much of a shot at this point. He really is a drive type to the basket type of guy. And that does worry me when you're talking about the messing up the dynamic, because the team right now with the Heat, even though they've been getting blown out in the last 2 games, they're still a really good defensive team that can push a team in 7 games when they want to. I just don't think that he's ideal for our situation. But if they get him, they get him. It is what it is. I think Toronto would be a better trade, not for Morant, but also for what Memphis wants. If they want trade capital, if they want picks, if they want a few players and picks or money compensation, I think Toronto has a better option and edge in that. Miami's kind of limited when it comes to trade options, although they did get under the first apron when they gave away Jimmy Butler. But I don't know. We got to see what happens with them. And welcome in, Raiders. My name is 3K. I'm currently recording on the podcast, and I just didn't want to acknowledge everybody, but I just want to let y'all know I am recording right now. I should have put that note up there. I'm gonna do that for future podcasts when I'm recording. Moving on to WNBA news. The most important thing for the WNBA right now is the collective bargaining agreement that they're having going on. So the agreement has expired with no deal in place or no extension, and the league and the players union are continuing to negotiations while considering the temporary freeze on free agency right now. So where things stand right now is that the CBA deadline has passed Friday at 11:59 p.m. with no agreement, but both sides remain in talks and operating under status quo rules from the old deal now. For now, the league has proposed a memorandum to pause qualifying offers and core destinations, including negotiations. Union is reviewing that proposal. The biggest gap that they're having is the over revenue sharing and overall compensation structure, including how much of the league revenue goes to players. So the WNBA proposed a boost average of max salaries and significantly with players averaging about 70% of net revenue, while the union has pushed for a much higher salary cap and 30% of the gross revenue with newer proposals. So nearly all the veterans, players, and free agents this offseason and expected to be reluctant to sign long-term deals until a new salary system is set. And while the Aspire CBA opens the door for possible work stoppages in the future, the league has not considered a lockout at this time. That does not mean that the players cannot go on a strike. So what this basically says to me is that they don't have a deal in place. They're not going to make any players are not going to sign any contracts while there's no deal in place, because if they sign on that contract, they work out a new deal, they stuck with that contract no matter what, which is wise for them. And the biggest sticking point is the fact that how the money is going to be divvied out. So they're looking at the league is looking at the net revenue versus the gross revenue. If you were to Google it, the gross revenue is technically more money for them, for the players, than it would be for the league. What the league is offering. So that's the biggest one, another sticking point where the players are trying to work out. So at the end of the day, look, the players want to get paid, and I don't blame them. Get your money. If you got to go on strike to get your money, so be it. Y'all have options. Y'all have Unrivaled. Y'all can go play overseas. Y'all have options. It's just going to hurt the WNBA and NBA. I just think it's kind of interesting that the NBA needs to step in and look at this a little bit further, because, like, here's this league that you've had created back in since the 90s or 2000s, somewhere in that time period, and they're having negotiations about money, and y'all can't figure things out. So the WNBA saying that this is offering that type of money is gonna hurt them. But at the same time, I look at the league, I'm like, you're broadcasting your games through Ion TV. Like, who's watching basketball games through Ion TV? I'm not watching basketball games through Ion TV. Put it on somewhere else but Ion TV. Come on, bruh. Like, y'all need a better marketing deal. Like, whoever does your marketing and the contracts for this stuff is not doing a good job, because this makes no sense. I want these players to get played. I hope y'all work this out, but if y'all can't work this out, it's going to be a mess. That's for sure. Moving on, Sabrina Ionescu is missing the second season, unfortunately, due to knee injury. Due to an injury. So Unrivaled is going to be starting this Monday, which is a 3-on-3 basketball league created by WNBA players, former and current NBA players. I think there's a few other important people that's part of this. We mentioned this on a podcast, but I'm just going to. This was a part of a story that we mentioned on the podcast. We were talking about the league working with the WNBA, but I'm just going to kind of ride into that story with this one. So it's unfortunate that she's not going to be playing for the Unrivaled, because that's a league that's something that's different for what the women do. And between her and Collier, I think she's one of the owners that created this league. Between her and Collier, that's really going to hurt that Unrivaled. Even though they're going to have enough players to play for the season, it really still hurts the star power that that Unrivaled would have for their 3-on-3 league. It's really cool because it's like a 3-on-3. It's a concept of shorter basketball court, smaller basketball court, 3-on-3, and I think they also do one-on-one showcases as well. So it's really interesting that they're creating these ideals for these different leagues and stuff. You know, but it's unfortunate. So hopefully they can figure some. We wish all well wishes, and hopefully we can see her before the WNBA season starts, if there's a season at all. So we got to see. Got two more batches of news, and then we're going to move on to some games. So right now, this is the section of the UFL. So the UFL is the United Football League. They're the spring football league that is that's been bought that combined the XFL, which was originally bought out under Vince McMahon through Johnson, Dwayne Johnson's group, him and his ex-wife, and they brought in a few investors. One of them being Mike Repole. So this is the spring league. They have a few teams. I know they reclassified a few of those teams into different areas. So I just want to kind of give a recap of what's going on with them. So Mike Repole, who is a billionaire entrepreneur, best known for co-founding Glacio, which is vitamin and water, smart water, and body armor, which both were sold to Coca-Cola for multi-billion-dollar deals, has bought the UFL and taken over all business operations, planning to move multiple teams to better size markets and aggressively grow the league. So his plan for the league is basically he wants to do 2 to possibly 4 home market teams that will relocate by 2026, with Columbus, Ohio already locked in as a new site for the league. Stays with 8 teams for now. He wants a smaller, fuller stadiums to improve the vibe, targeting average crowds of 10 to 15,000 per game, avoiding the optics of 10,000 fans in a 65,000 seat college venue. He also believes that the UFL's financial backing and media partners, which is Redbird Capital, The Rock, Danny Garcia, Fox, ESPN, give a better chance to survive and grow past the spring league. Look, whatever it takes to do all this to make sure the league thrives, great. But you need some star players. Like I don't expect you to compete with getting the top in NFL players. But some of these players that could still play and want to play, maybe offer some positions to them as well, because you need to grow this league. I would like to see this league grow, and have a number 2 option when it comes to it, because it's clear as day that UFL works with the NFL, though they're not their official what's that term I'm looking for? Minor league. They operate quasi to a minor league, because like they play in the spring. The championship ends right before the NFL spring training starts. Those players could get signed by the NFL to make the spring training, not spring training, the training camps. There we go. NFL training camps before the season starts. So I would love to see this work out where they can do this league can thrive, because if you like football, you want to see this go. Okay, you definitely want to see this work. Anyway, so other things he wants to do is he wants to make sure that all 8 in short term, as far as operational practices changes, all 8 teams will practice in a central hub, likely Arlington, Texas, but leagues to plan to increase time spent in home markets to build community ties. He's also said that within about 5 years, teams must relocate consistently practice and be based in their own markets for the UFL to consider a real league. So basically, if you want to read more about this story, you go to ESPN.com. But those are some of the changes that he wants to make. And I you know what? If he can pull it off, it would be great for the league, because like I said, basketball has great alternatives, but football doesn't. Like, there's a few football, like if you actually go look up American football alternatives, like you have this league, you have the CFL. Well, technically they're not American football. You have the EFL, which is the European League. I think there's a league in Japan, but there's not a lot of alternative leagues. This would be a great number 2 for spring football, and they're trying their best to make sure it works. So we'll see what happens with that. All right, moving forward in my last story for today. Basically, it's not really a story. It's just talk about ESPN's report on the boxing predictions that they are laying out for 2026. 2026 is going to be an interesting year for boxing, because we were spoiled last year, especially when we got the Canelo Crawford fight, and Crawford retired after that fight. Not immediately after, but he took some time off and then decided to retire. So, we got to see what's going to happen this year. Who's going to become the new number 1 pound for pound now that Crawford is officially retired. So some of the things that they're predicting is Benavidez beats a top game guy like Alberto Ramirez, and possibly Bivol or even Canelo ends up number 1 for pound. That's one writer view. Another argues that Inoue, as you can see right here, will be the pound for pound king, beating Junto at 122 and then winning the world title at featherweight. If Inoue wins, if Inoue is the number 1 pound for pound, I'm not even going to argue. That man has a hell of a resume. Other big name fight ideals: Jake Paul is tipped to return to a blockbuster fight against Francis Ngannou, and Carissa Shields versus Green projected as a co-main, likely a major platform like Netflix. Another Jake Paul fight. Yeah, yay. Okay. And Conor Ben versus Ryan Garcia, showcase as a welterweight fight. If Garcia beats Mario Barrios and Ben drops back down to 147. That's interesting. Other career and divisional shifts: Kaylee Taylor predicted to have her final year in boxing, possibly with a farewell fight in Ireland, potentially even against Ronda Rousey. Why? Okay, whatever. Jai is picked to move up from cruiserweight and win a heavyweight belt, possibly an IBF route. Continuing the Usyk Holyfield path of cruiserweights succeeding at heavyweight. Wardley is expected to defend his WBO heavyweight title against Daniel Dubois in a big UK stadium fight. Rising names like Adam Azim, prospect for Canada of the Year, and trainer Robert Garcia for his work, and Jesse Bam Rodriguez versus Virgil Ortiz Jr. and Raymond are highlighted as key figures to watch. So we'll see how this is going to shake up, because last time I checked, barring whatever happened with that injury with Joshua, he's still slated to fight. He's still slated to fight Tyson Fury, and I think Usyk is also wants to fight Deontay Wilder in the heavyweight division. So we'll see what happens. But that's all I got for today. Didn't take too long to do the news. If you want to make sure you check out news, you can go on to ESPN.com like I have shown here. You also can go to FoxSports.com. You can go to Associated Press where all the reports are coming from, and make sure you support your local sports team. So I'm going to go ahead and cut off the recording so we can go ahead and continue with the stream.